Welcome back to Tianquiztli Creations podcast. I'm your host, Del, and today we dive into exploring the chilling stories of the top five most infamous 19th century serial killers. The 1800s were a time of significant change, industrial revolutions, scientific advancements, and yes, heinous crimes that shocked societies worldwide. Let's jump in. We can't discuss the 19th century serial killers without starting with the Whitechapel murderer himself, Jack the Ripper. Operating in London's impoverished East End during the late summer and fall of 1888, this unknown killer preyed on women, specifically prostitutes, brutally murdering at least five victims, known as the Canonical Five. What makes Jack the Ripper so infamous isn't just the gruesome nature of his crimes, or that some of his victims were mutilated beyond recognition, but the mystery surrounding his identity. Letters signed from hell were sent to the press in Scotland Yard, allegedly by the killer. To this day, we don't know who he was. Was he a doctor, a butcher, a sailor? Dozens of suspects have been proposed, but the case remains unsolved. The Ripper's terror gripped London and immortalized him as a symbol of evil in the shadows of the industrial age. Next, we head across the Atlantic to United States, where we meet Herman Webster Mudgett, better known as H. H. Holmes. Active during the 1890s, Holmes built what the many call Murder Castle in Chicago, a labyrinth hotel equipped with hidden passages, soundproof rooms, and trapdoors. He lured his victims, often young women, under the guise of employment or lodging, only to kill them in horrifying ways. Holmes is often labeled America's first serial killer. He confessed to 27 murders, though some historians estimate the number could be much higher. His castle of horrors was constructed specifically for murder, showcasing an unparalleled level of premeditation. His arrest in 1894 ended his macabre spree, and he was executed 2 years later. Holmes' story is a testament to how charm and intellect can mask unfathomable evil. Moving back to England, we find a killer often overshadowed by Jack the Ripper, but no less terrifying. And this is someone that I mentioned in our first episode, but I thought was still pretty interesting to include on this list. Mary Ann Cotton. Born in 1832, Cotton holds the grim title of Britain's first documented female serial killer. Her weapon of choice? Arsenic. Over the course of 2 decades, Mary Ann murdered at least 21 people, including three of her husbands, several of her children, and even her own mother. She often collected life insurance payouts from her victims, giving her crimes a calculated motive. It wasn't until the mysterious death of her last husband and stepson that authorities grew suspicious. A post-mortem examination revealed arsenic poisoning, and Mary Ann was arrested, tried, and hanged in 1873. Her story exposes the dark underbelly of Victorian domestic life, where trust and proximity became weapons for a serial killer. Our next killer is Carl Panzram, whose horrifying acts of violence spanned both the United States and beyond. Although his most active years were in the early 20th century, Panzram began his criminal activities in the 1890s, making him a product of the 19th century chaotic transition into modernity. Panzram was a drifter and a thief, but his crimes went far beyond robbery. He confessed to murdering 21 people and raping over 1,000 men, driven by deep hatred for humanity. He's remembered for his chilling quotes, like this one, and I quote, "I hate the whole damn human race and would like to kill every one of them." End quote. His brutal honesty, unapologetic demeanor shocked even the most hardened lawmen. Panzram was hanged in 1930, leaving behind a legacy of destruction and a chilling autobiography that offered insight into his deranged mind. Last but not least, we have Jane Topman, also known as Jolly Jane. Born in 1857, Topman was a nurse who turned her profession into a killing spree. She confessed to murdering 31 people, but claimed her ultimate goal was to kill more than any man or woman who ever lived. Topman experimented with different combinations of drugs on her patients, often poisoning them with lethal doses of morphine and atropine. She gained perverse satisfaction from being close to her victims as they died, even climbing into their beds to watch them take their final breaths. Arrested in 1901, Topman was declared insane and committed to an asylum. Her story reveals the dangers of unchecked trust in authority figures and the darkness that can lurk behind a cheerful facade. And there you have it. Top five most infamous serial killers of the 19th century. From the shadowy streets of London to the macabre murder castles of Chicago, these stories remind us humanity's darkest capabilities. They also highlight the importance of advancements in criminal justice and forensic science, which have come a long way since. What do you think about today's episode? Are there any historical killers you think I missed? Let us know by dropping a comment in one of our social media accounts. I definitely look forward to hearing about what you think about the serial killers. What do you think about these episodes? Should we do more? Should we do less? And I say we, but it's me. I do hope that this kind of sparks some curiosity in your mind to learn more about honestly anything that's out there. I know in recent events, and usually I do this at the beginning of each episode, but this time I kind of did it at the end for a reason. But with recent events that took place over the last week, there's just been so many things in the news. One of the top being that TikTok was supposed to shut down. I myself was quite, I would say sad. I was quite sad just because the application at its prime provided a lot of information and support that I didn't think I could find online. And when I realized that this was possibly the last time I was going to be able to connect to all these people that I've been following for so long and learning from them, made me quite sad. And so Sunday, I pretty much wasn't on the app at all. I think it started sometime Saturday night, honestly. And then at some point on Sunday, everyone was on social media, Instagram, Facebook, saying, hey, it's back, as long as you didn't delete the app. But I never went back. I just left it as is. And I do know that I have my business accounts on there still, and perhaps I'll go back to them, although I'm also looking into the possibility of having a social media manager. So if anyone has any insight on that, definitely reach out to me on my many social media accounts, still on Instagram and Facebook for now. But it was eye-opening to know how much time I was dedicating to this app and how much of it wasn't very productive. It was a lot of doom scrolling, as they call it, and was really affecting, I would even say, my day to day. So it was refreshing to get a break and then realize I can do this longer. So I actually haven't been back since Saturday evening. And it's one of those things that without it, I'm doing just fine. And it made me focus my energy on other projects. I was able to revamp my blog website, which I hadn't touched in months, and update my social media account as well, like my Instagram account, where I plan to share much more of my creativity. So you're going to see a lot more of my travel pictures on there, a lot more writing, because I'm not sure if I hadn't mentioned this before, but I am a writer. I have published or self-published a lot of books, including children books, and I am working currently on a scientific fantasy book. I said that wrong. Sci-fi. It's sci-fi, guys. I'm working on a sci-fi book that hopefully will be ready by the end of this year. or the beginning of next year. Writing 20 plus stories does take a while, and so does the design of the book, but I'm very excited about it. And so, all that to end my episode, to tell you all that it is okay to take a new direction in what you're used to, especially if it means something positive will come out of it. And to stay curious, to everything. If you're not quite sure that's the answer for you, keep looking for what is better for you. And that's all I have for you guys to share today. So don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, and check out our YouTube channel for other videos. That's where I'm going to start posting some shorter clips with some other information that I'm finding really interesting. Not related to serial killers, just kind of going back to the spooky side of the Tianquiztli Creations podcast. So be on the lookout for that. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and listen to us on our platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, Amazon Podcast, and Castbox. Thank you for listening. Until next time.